Hello, my name is Janiene Powell. In this short PowerPoint, I will be explaining class versus ID selectors. So here we go. Class versus ID selectors. Class selectors. Class selectors allow you to target elements based on their class attributes. A class selector is used for one or multiple elements that appear on the page once or multiple times. All class selectors must start with a period and then the class name. For example, let's say that I have a bunch of different animal elements: ferrets, dogs, and cats. I want all these animal elements to be styled with a highlighted red. This is where class selectors come in, making the coding a bit easier and cleaner. In the body tags, I have given all the animal elements, ferrets, dogs, and cats, the class attribute animals. I want each of these matching elements to be highlighted in red. So, up in the head tags, I have the style tags. In the style tags, the class attribute animals is styled to have a background color of red with white text. Don't forget that period though before the class name. This makes all the multiple elements of animals on my page to be highlighted in red. ID selectors. ID selectors are used to target single elements that appear only once on a page and apply styles only to that element. So, the ID on the page is always unique. This makes ID selectors very specific. ID selectors must start with a pound or hashtag sign, and then the ID name. A little fun fact, ID stands for Irvine Data Flow. An example using the ID selector. Let's say I want to target only one of my headers, because I have two, with the color red and nothing else on the page. To do this, I will need an ID selector. In my head tag, I have the style tags. In the style tags, the ID attribute, heading color, is styled to be red. In the body tags, I have defined my heading with the ID heading color. My second heading is without the ID selector, so only the heading, or H1, that has the ID heading color will be affected. If I wanted both headings to be the same, I would use a class selector. Again, don't forget that hashtag before the ID name. It's very important. One more example. Another good way to show how class and ID selectors work is with this example of two Cheerio boxes from a store. Both are pretty much identical. They both are yellow, they're rectangular, they share the same design, the same size, and the same colors. So using a class selector on these would be very easy to do. But the only thing that's different is the barcodes. Both boxes would fit in a class selector because of the multiple elements they share, right? However, this would not work for a store. How are they to keep track of how many they sold or how old the Cheerios are if the barcodes were also the same? To make the boxes more specific and easier to track, they are given different barcodes. This gives both boxes their own identity, or in programming terms, ID selectors. This helps the store to keep fresh boxes of cereal on the shelves and keep track of how many they sold, just like the ID selector helps HTML to style one element instead of all when needed. So what do they have in common? Well, both target specific elements. Both are usually used in CSS. Neither of them can have any spaces in their names. And no matter which one is used, the spelling and casing must be exactly the same, or any other punctuation that you use. So what do I mean by the same? I mean that class or ID attribute names have to match. For an example, let's go back to my ID heading color and my class animals. Both the ID heading color spelling and the hashtag heading color spelling match. In the class animals, spelling and the period animals spelling also matches. Notice that there are no spaces too. If the spellings were different, then the styles would not work the way I want. So what's the difference? Well, class selectors start with a period or a full stop. Class selectors target multiple elements on a page, and uses a specific class attribute, class selectors affect all HTML elements with the same class attribute. ID selectors start with a hashtag character. It targets a single and unique element on a page. An ID is also very specific and applies a unique style rule in HTML with the same ID attribute. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is that between an ID and a class, an ID can be used to identify one element, whereas a class can be used to identify more than one element. Combining class and ID selectors. Can this be done? Can you combine class and ID selectors? If you can, how do you do it? The answer is yes, you can. You can target elements that have combinations of classes and IDs by stringing the selectors together with no spaces. In this example provided by CSStricks.com, we can see how to properly combine class and ID selectors together. Here we have two codes, but only one is the one I am talking about. Can you pick which one is correct? Time's up. If you picked the top one, then you are correct. This is the correct one because it does not have spaces between the header and callout. So why combine them? Well, it helps to reduce some of the unique selectors in your CSS. A lot of unique selectors can make the coding look heavy and confusing. It also makes things a little more cleaner and simpler looking, which helps any programmers viewing your programming to understand what you did. It can reduce the amount of pages in a website, and that's just to name a few reasons. However, stringing too many together can be a bit much. The problem with stringing too many together is that it can get a bit confusing. It should only be done if you have a lot of pages in a website. However, stringing too many together, like in this example, can be a bit much. To end this presentation, I wanted to have a little bit of fun with class and ID selectors. Class and ID selectors can also be entertaining and used in funny puns that only programmers would understand. My favorite one, though, is the one about the wife. Sorry, dudes, no offense. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feedback, corrections, or any other comments, please post them in the class discussions. Have a good night. Bye.